What's going on, everybody? You got the Raging Rob here. Let me check my... Okay, there we go. What's going on, everybody? You got the Raging Rob here. And I represent the National Rifle Association Empire. Oh, it stopped snowing. Thank God. Can't stand snow. Still in Utah. On my way to New Mexico. Anyway, things I want to talk about. There's two things. This is my fourth video today. Anyway, number one, Florida bridge collapse. Absolutely devastating, horrible. What happened in Florida? Obviously, they didn't. When they constructed this damn bridge in Florida by the University of Florida. When they constructed this thing, they didn't think it through. They did a slop job constructing it. A lot of bridges, they have the huge beam that goes in the middle down. You know, it's like a support thing that, they have. This one didn't have that. They did a slop job constructing this thing, and it only lasted 3 weeks and it collapsed, which there's going to be a lot of wrongful death lawsuits in this son of a bitch. I'm just going to say that. I want to send my thoughts, prayers, and condolences to anybody that was involved. Very tragic. I've seen a picture of an 18-year-old girl, college student, lost her life in this shit. It's very sad, very tragic, and I send my thoughts and prayers to the family, to the families. And to think that, well, they originally said there was 4 dead, and now they're saying 6, so they haven't even got to all the cars that are underneath that bridge. So it could be up to 20 people dead. I mean, I hope not, but you don't know how many more cars are trapped under there. People can't get out, and they suffocated, and whatever. Or just died from the collapse itself and crushed to death. It's got to be a horrible scene. I wanted to talk about it because this happened like a few days after Governor Rick Scott signed gun control. So it makes me think that maybe this is God's way of getting back at Florida for signing gun control. Because this did happen near a college where there's a lot of millennial liberal students, same ones that were calling for gun control. It says in the Bible, if you cannot afford a sword, you shall sell your clothes and buy one. That's God's way of saying, hey, you have a right to defend yourself. Go out and buy a gun to do so in this evil world. So even Jesus' disciples, they carried swords at that time when he was walking because they knew how dangerous it was preaching the gospel. They knew it was pretty dangerous. So his disciples carried swords. So these students passing gun control, I don't know, I'm not saying that this happened was an act of God. I'm just saying that it's possible that God he works in mysterious ways. He has this way of taking his people that belong in his kingdom. He's going to do whatever it takes to take, when it's your time, he's going to take you. So was this bridge collapse an act of God? Is God's way of punishing Florida for passing gun control, for passing, legislation to say, hey, you can't defend yourself? This law that Florida passed, they could take your gun for any mental health reason. I mean, if somebody says this guy might be mental because he does this, they can go out and they can come out and take the guns. They could basically take the guns from anybody they feel is, mentally off. They had a situation a couple days ago. He got into a fight with somebody at his apartment. He shut off the electricity to the apartment and was talking about Obama and Osama bin Laden or whatever, saying that Obama was, I don't know, a spirit from Osama bin Laden, or I don't know what the hell he was saying. Something real crazy and weird. So the police come out and they took his guns because they thought he was mentally off. I mean, purely freedom of speech on his part. Never been arrested. In Florida, anyway. No signs of mental illness. But because somebody said he might have been mentally ill, they come out and they took his guns. That's the kind of shit that's going on in Florida. So I've decided I'm not going to move to Florida. I'm going to stay in Arizona. I was thinking about moving to Florida, and then they pass this gun control shit. I mean, if the government wants to outright take guns we don't need another Ruby Ridge or Waco on our hands. That's what's going to happen if they do door-to-door gun confiscation. So if they're going to try to take them, they're going to try to take them through legislation. They're going to try to take them very slowly. So was this Florida bridge collapse an act of God as a way to punish Florida and punish the millennials for their ridiculous walkout they pulled a few days ago? Next thing, talking about the Parkland, Florida shooting or whatever. Nicholas Cruz. I want to talk about him a little bit. There was an inmate that was in the same cell as Nicholas Cruz, the Florida mass shooter. And this inmate who was in there for a drug charge, I mean, you really can't trust a crackhead. I mean, I'm not saying the guy's a crackhead. I'm just saying, taking a look at this guy. I'm not trying to judge. It says in the Bible, thou shalt not judge. Okay? Not trying to. But if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, quack, 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 it's probably a fucking duck. So, anyway, this inmate was in there for a drug charge. He shared the same cell as Nicholas Cruz for like a few days. And he said that Nicholas Cruz would for hours walk around his cell just staring at the ceiling, staring at the walls. And he would do this for hours. MK Ultra mind control has took effect on this guy. You see what's happening. Why is it... I mean, the media, they've done interviews with Charles Manson. They've done interviews with Jeffrey Dahmer. They've done interviews with other serial killers. Ted Bundy did an interview, I think. But this is way back in the day. Why nowadays the media doesn't do interviews with these killers? They never did an interview with James Holmes, the Aurora, Colorado shooter. They never did an interview with Jared Loeffler, the Tucson shooter. They never did it. They're not going to do an interview with Nicholas Cruz. I will tell you why. Because MK Ultra mind control has their brain so fucked up that they're not capable of doing an interview. The CIA, I think the CIA is literally going to major cities across the country, kidnapping people and confronting people, saying, hey, you want to make some money? Just ran them on the street. Young people, young guys. They're picking them out. Young white guys that look like, they're loners or whatever. Picking them up on the street, seeing walking down the street, make a deal with them. Hey, you want to make some money? And they kidnap them, and then they take them to their private buildings they have, and they inject you with MK Ultra mind controlled drugs, and then they turn them loose in society. And this is the result. They end up shooting up shit, and some of these psychos. James Holmes had a college degree, and he just went nuts. So that's what I think the CIA is doing. They're kidnapping these young white males, targeting them, young 20s, filling them with drugs, giving them a prescription drug, turning them loose in society, and then they're going crazy and killing people. And then you see the way they act in the cells are MK Ultra mind control at its best. So that's what I think. Anyway, that's the video. Subscribe to my channel if you're new. As always, more videos coming soon. This is Raging Rob. I get one more sip of my iced tea here, and I'm going to get going. Non-GMO. Straight from pure leaf. Real brewed tea. Never from powder. No artificial sweeteners. 160 calories per bottles. Real brewed from real leaves. I'm Raging Rob, and I approve this message.